Hey, it's NutBallCop. Out for a afternoon beer. Got up early, did some work for some clients. Went out to lunch with my wonderful wife. I'm just sitting here reading the news and doing social media and having beer. And yeah, today is weird. Um, and I have to admit, if you're feeling stressed right now, that's an okay response. Okay. Um, Hell, I just smoked a bunch of weed and had a beer. I feel feel a little stressed. Things are kind of screwed up. When you have a government that's literally making up kind of their own fantasies and reporting it as news, and then the news starts reporting the fantasies as facts, we're in trouble. Um, we're in trouble at at a level I didn't think that was possible until now. And there's a specific thing I want to get into is the monolith thing of political ideology. I'll get into that in a second. But if you're feeling like, oh my God, this is chaotic, it is. It is. It's totally 100% is. Is it weird? Yeah. Even by, Watergate, Iran Contra, East Timor, every president ever lying about Vietnam, even at that level, right here, right now, this is freaking weird, man. I'm not sure. Like, how do we spin out of this without getting into a kerfuffle that's going to cost us financially, morally, socially, culturally, ethically? Now, one thing I've been thinking about, I don't know why he came up in my mind so much in the last 2 or 3 days. I had a really close friend I lost. Oh shit, 12 or so years ago. We were we were young guys together. He came into the into the patrol force after my cycle. He was the next cycle after me. Um it was me, T and J who came out of the cycle. Um T was ex Cincinnati, Ohio, so he was just a lateral. He knew what he was doing already. He had 10 years of experience. My buddy Jeff was new. We used to call Jeff either Ken Doll, because he was tall, blonde, and really good looking, um, or we called him Johnny Cab from Total Recall with Arnold Schwarzenegger. We made him laugh every time we called him Johnny Cab. But why I'm bringing up my buddy, who I miss very dearly, by the way, he was a really good friend, um, and a good man, by the way, a solid, a solid, a solid gentleman, and a good American. Jeff was one of the last liberal Republicans. Now, I've always kind of marched to my own beat. Listen to me play guitar. I When I'm not doing a cover song, my progressions and my arpeggios and solos may be, a little to the weirder Frank Zappa, and I'm okay with that. I've always been a different guy, and seriously, I'm okay with that. I think my wife is okay with that. She has to be. She's known me for 40 years. um, but Jeff was like Lincoln Chafee, the last liberal Republican in Congress. Um, it was important back in the day. And I'm talking the 80s and the 90s. It was important back in the day to have diversity within the parties itself. I know On the far right side, diversity is kind of a evil a buzzword because they're all authoritarians. Okay, they're basically Nazis who don't care if they're also Soviet communists. Any power structure will do, including gangsterism. But I think the cons lost problem we're at right now because I see no conflict in Mr. Chafee, who served in Congress, or he wait, still sad about that. But Jeff was a true liberal Republican. Capital L liberal, capital R Republican. His dad was a colonel in the Air Force. His dad and his mom tolerated me because they knew I was Jeff's crazy friend. Even though I had cred, I was ex-military and everything, they still think I was the total nut job, and they weren't fun. For those who haven't been following me very long, my NutBallCop name, that's actually a play on Donald Sutherland's character in Kelly's Heroes, Sergeant Oddball. I'm a huge fan of Donald Sutherland and also Clint Eastwood as an actor and a director. I think Donald Sutherland is one of the best actors of all time. Not the best. I think that's probably Jack Lemmon. Uh, but Donald Sutherland's way up there as like pinnacle cinematic, master of his form. And I just loved his character Oddball, so that's why my social media accounts are actually my gaming handle. My gaming handle goes back 25 years. I out of a clan in New York City called Badass Wankers, and that's been my gaming handle for it's always been Sutherland's character, Kelly's Heroes, Oddball. Um, and the way you see Sergeant Oddball in the movie, if you haven't seen Kelly's Heroes, stream it and watch it on Tubi. Something. One, it's a great fucking movie. One, it's funny as fucking hell, and it's one of the most alt war movies of all time. It's literally awesome. And oh shit, drop my vape. Hold on. Um, and the cast is star-studded. Carol O'Connor, Telly Savalas, Donald Sutherland, Don Rickles. I mean, the cast doesn't stop, and it's an awesome movie. So, but Sergeant Oddball in the movie, that was me in the military police. I wasn't a tanker. That was me in the military police. Uh, I think the loss of the true liberal, capital L, capital R Republican, and the loss of the small c conservative, capital D Democrat is part of the problem. And that's why I've been pushing so hard in my online voice here is to say we should be more independent because 20, 30, etc. years ago, the parties within the parties were more independent. They're lockstep fucking morons now. And yes, I read about AOC. I read about Bernie Sanders. Oh, by the way, um, yes, you can be liberal and you can also be leaning authoritarian. Warning, warning, Elizabeth Warren, warning, warning. Um, and it's not like I don't like. Let me say this earlier. Uncle Bernie has got a good heart. I could sit down with Uncle Bernie and have a nice dinner, have a glass of wine, have a glass of scotch, have a great discussion, disagree, agree, come to consensus or not. I think I could have a good evening with that guy. Okay. He ain't my enemy. Neither is AOC, but neither is Mitt Romney. You see what I'm saying? We used to have small c conservative, capital D Democrats. We used to have capital L liberal, capital R Republicans. They're a vanquished species now. The political evolution has wiped them out, and I don't think it's a good change for the future. I think we need plurality because, and I'm not being mean. I'm just telling you it from my perspective. Y'all think political parties are the bomb. They're fucking bullshit. Okay. I read everything I could fucking read on George Washington. George Washington did not have a political party. Who are the best presidents of all time? George Washington. This is subjective. I know. A little objective, but more subjective. So I'm just putting out my feelings. I know. But it's George Washington, Abraham Lincoln, Eisenhower, and LBJ. We haven't had a great president since the 1960s. We've had some good ones, don't get me wrong. We've had some good ones who made very, very poor decisions. But we haven't had any great presidents since LBJ. Unless you're willing to kick over the apple cart, you can't be a good president. Just saying. And I want to say, I want to remind everybody, I'm an independent, 25 years registered, nonpartisan independent. Okay. I do not believe in political parties. I believe in your individual stance, opinion, debate points, and whether or not we can negotiate to find a reasonable outcome. That's all I give a shit about. I'm a Democrat. I'm a lifelong Democrat or a Republican. I do not give a shit. I'm a Green. I'm a Libertarian Party member. Even though I'm a groovy libertarian by factual evaluation of my political positions, a center-left libertarian, both the Green Party and Libertarian Party are completely full of shit. The Constitutionalist Party is a fake party. It's a theocratic nationalist party that's been around since the 1960s, or at least the early 1970s. That's why I warn people here on the West Coast. The Constitutional Independent Party is not independent. It's a theocratic nationalist party that goes back to the John Birch days. You got to worry about people who think John Birch was too liberal. But I do think it was important that we had liberal Republicans. Okay. You could not convince my buddy Jeff, liberal Republican, number one. Okay. This dude was for gay marriage, what you all call gay marriage. I call it equal contract for adults. Okay. Jeff was for gay marriage at least 5 years before I was. Then I studied the thing and I realized this is not even about marriage. This is about contract rights. Okay. This is why I'm a libertarian, not a conservative, not a Republican. Jeff was all for food stamps, housing assistance, community subsidies. He was also completely up for the B-2 bomber. Again, he comes from an Air Force family. But not having this cultural animus, not having the theocratic nationalist or the hyper Christianity isolationist philosophy, that's what made us a liberal Republican back in the day. And we're talking, 1980s, early 1990s. Now, the funny thing is, a lot of people who identify as liberal, whatever that means to them, they think people on the alleged left, just because they're on the Democratic side, um, okay, I got a comment here. I agree with you. I'm not voting Dem and Independent because I don't trust the Republicans now. I will never vote for a Republican as long as this crew of nationalists, non-conservatives. Now, I will do a complete confession here. In my formative days, West Germany, West Coast, working with major crimes, DEA, FBI, all that kind of stuff. Was I a conservative? Yes. Small c. Because the problem is the Republican Party today is actually not conservative, small c or capital C. It is nationalist with a big N and a gigantic R for racism and a gigantic X for xenophobia. That shit I'm not down with. Am I down with protecting America? Oh, fucking hell yeah. Am I down with taking on a police operation, which is actually racist, not just having animus and grievance against brown people? That's bullshit. Yeah, if you're a real criminal threat, I will volunteer number fucking one. There's never a search warrant I turned down. There was never an op I never turned down. If it's a righteous target, count me in. I'm number one through the fucking search warrants about underneath my belt. About 6 times I was number one through the door. Most of the times I was number two because I'm a good shooter. I should be behind the body. Okay. But yeah, I'm not trusting Republicans anymore. That's a shame. That is a shame. And I just want to bring this up. I'm not looking for a fight. I'm not looking for an argument. I'm just telling you the way. Hillary Clinton never. She's a small C conservative, but I'm okay with that as long as she would admit she's a small C conservative. She doesn't. She claims she's a big L. Same thing with Nancy Pelosi. Same thing with Dianne Feinstein. Gals here out the West Coast. Well, I am to say not here anymore. But what the thing was is people who hate Dianne Feinstein. Dianne Feinstein's anti-gun. Anne Feinstein had a concealed weapons permit ever since the assassination of the mayor in San Francisco. She carried a gun for fucking decades. Even underneath her shirt jacket, she was always armed. Okay, just because you're liberal does not mean you're against the Second Amendment. And I have a personal friend like this. I have a friend who I know dearly. I love her. We worked together for 15 years. Dinner together. We went to events together. I love the gal. Okay. She is a dyed in the wool, capital L liberal from capital S, capital F, San Francisco. Sorry, news helicopter. Channel 2. She has her dad's Patrol 38K frame, 38 special in her night drawer. She told me that you break into my bedroom, I'm through to your chest. Okay, she lives in San Francisco alone. Yes, she has a gun in her dresser drawer. It's her dad's special. Just because you're liberal does not mean you're against the Second Amendment. But I'm here for shit. I don't know, 6 now. What does that make? 45 years? I don't like when they sell gun to criminals. I don't like when they sell guns to minors, especially assault weapons. I don't like the fact that a mom dropped off her kid at a riot and turned him into a child soldier, and then Tucker Carlson and Pete Hegseth try to turn him into a hero. What the fuck? I grew up in the days of the NRA where it was about hunting and gun safety. And this is something I still believe, even though I haven't hunted in years. Hunting is a rite of passage. I will go get a permit and I will take game and I will make dinner for my family. You think the burger at McDonald's the cow committed suicide for you so you can have a quarter pounder? No. I'm gonna go out and I'm gonna go get a deer or a pig or a pheasant. I'm gonna carve it up and I'm gonna serve dinner for my family. Now, people who just heard the last 30 seconds would also not believe is I believe in contract rights for a gay male couple. I keep bringing this up. Americans don't have problems with lesbians. They have problems with gay men. They don't like the penis on penis thing for some reason. And it all freaks out. I literally don't even care. But I'm like, I was for contract right for every single American, regardless of sexual orientation, a decade before Hillary Clinton. She's telling me she's a liberal. Yeah, for a fight or an argument. I'm just telling you. See, when I did that political direction graph, two of the liberals I brought up, one was AOC, one was Elizabeth Warren. I said, AOC, pay more attention to her. Why? She's coming more to the center. Elizabeth Warren, beware. She's a left wing authoritarian in training because she's a populist. Trump populism is a problem. So is Warren's. Populism does not solve shit. Populism is how you get fucking broken windows in a certain neighborhood. Uh, I don't know if I told you guys this before, but I'll say it again. My philosophy on humans: a person could be kind, supportive, educated, nurturing, mentoring, every positive word you can think in the damn dictionary. That's an individual. People is about to riot. That's why I don't like political parties. And what I fear is not enough people that live in my society understand. Hope says a lot of liberals have done just one couple of go. I'm a groovy libertarian. I'm also a retired cop. We need red flag laws. If you've gone 5149.5, your family should be able to go to the judge and take the goddamn guns away. I told my kids this. I'm not that old, but I've told my kids this. My kids are like 30. Okay. Dad starts looking cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. Two things you need to do immediately: take away my driver's license and take away my guns. Now, I have full faculties. I'm not delusional. I'm not unreferential. Okay. I know what the fuck I'm doing. I'm okay now. But I even told my oldest son, this is your duty, sir. If I go, yeah, you need to, take shit away from me. Who? The audio broke. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm on a cell connection and I'm kind of fading. Sorry about that, Hope. My son. I told my son if I start going, 5149.5, he's more than welcome to take away my keys to the car, my driver's license, and my guns. It also goes for my daughter and my other son, too. I just told my eldest that because we are having a conversation about it. Okay. I don't think people who do not have the proper faculty should own a deadly weapon. Now, this is my real crux. Now, I believe in all of the amendments, including the second. But I also believe the fourth, the fifth, the first, the seventh, the 10th. That's why Trump shouldn't be in Minnesota doing a military occupation in Minneapolis, because it violates the 10th Amendment. I believe in all the amendments, but all amendments have limits. First Amendment, you can't yell fire in a theater. One, that would make you an asshole. Two, you would interrupt the show I paid a lot of money to fucking see. And three, you're going to start a fight. Being a retired cop, I'm like, yeah, you start a peace disturbance, you start violence, you get your ass thrown in the pokey for the night. Fuck you. Everybody else in the room was fine, except your dumbass. Fuck you. No, we should not be selling assault weapons to dickheads. No, it doesn't mean that we should ban a hunter from owning a 12 gauge shotgun to go out and hunt duck or pheasant. It doesn't mean the farmer can't have a 410 22 over and under to take care of the rats and the coyotes on his farm. Because trust me, you ain't raising chickens out here without a 410 or better. Okay? Target pistol, 22 Ruger, heavy barrel. That's my anti-vermin gun. Okay? Skunks trying to get underneath my house, fucking coyotes. You get a couple of taps out of the 22. Okay. I don't own any gun to hurt any innocent people. That's not why I own guns. Anybody who thinks they own guns because they need to go to war, you're a fucking idiot. In the unlikely event you decide to fuck with me, my family, or my castle, that's what my guns are for. But that's a low order probability. What I like doing is target shooting, skeet shooting with my wife. My wife is actually a great shot. She can shoot a 9mm pistol, as well as 50% of the police department. She's awesome with a 12 gauge shotgun. Um, yeah, I mean, we treat skeet shooting like it's golf with a shotgun. Okay, we treat gun ownership as training, discipline, protection, and sport shooting. We don't consider this as, oh my god, we need to take over the government. Okay, you're not taking over the government that has thousands of nuclear weapons. Grow the fuck up. I mean, like all the assholes who yeah, the ICE just hired them. Yeah, you're right. You notice there's no more Proud Boy demonstrations because they all work for the ICE. And then since you brought that up, Hope, let me riff on that for a couple of seconds here. Do you understand what I had to do to get my goddamn security clearance? The DIA sent agents back to my hometown to interview people. That's how I ended up with my clearance in the Army. When I applied for civilian PD, they did a full background of me. They interviewed my wife for 4 hours. They checked my credit score. They talked to my team chiefs in the Army. I had to give them bank statements. Okay? A surgeon with rubber gloves and some fucking Astroglide, not even close to the background checks I've been through. That these dickheads are getting hired in ICE? Fuck you. Jesus. There's no way I'm making a fucking elite police team because I got hired in 6 weeks and they ignored the fact that I have prior convictions. That's what's happening in ICE. I posted something earlier today about the 82nd Airborne veteran. She applied for ICE, passed a drug test, even though she's a connoisseur of weed. He is a woman with a Uniquely spelled last names. When you Google search her, Google returns her social media feeds at the top. She is anti-X, anti-nationalism, anti-dickheadism, anti-Pete, yada, 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 yada. She smoked weed 6 days before the ICE piss test. She took the piss test. She applied. They cleared her. They offered her a job. They're not even vetting people. Any Goomba will do. It's like the scene in Blazing Saddles. Mel Brooks, an entire American treasure. Just like Willie Nelson and Dolly Parton and the Gershwin brothers. Um, Blazing Saddles, the scene where they recruit all the people to attack Rock Ridge. Badges? We don't need no stinking badges. They make comedic bit out of it in Blazing. Time. If you have not watched Blazing Saddles, you have missed a piece of Americana that's important. Get your shit together and watch that movie. Pour a drink, watch the movie.